Republicans love doing the exact same thing that they yell when the liberals do it. Everybody claims they hate cancel culture, but they love utilizing cancel culture when it suits their purposes. Everybody loves talking about how they love free speech, but they always love to stop free speech from happening. Yeah, there is also this going on. There's an ongoing smear campaign on Twitter that has led to all of right-wing Twitter targeting Hasan. Yeah, this is something that I have noticed as well. I think this is the reason why I said I think Elon Musk wants me to be killed. We're obviously going to be talking about that as well. Yeah, there is some very strange machinations on Twitter. In the past 2 days, a clip compilation of Hasan calling for violence and air quotes is beginning posted by right-wing accounts and has gone ultra-viral, millions upon millions of views. It was seemingly created by Tectone. It wasn't. It was created by a sex pest in the orbiter. I don't think Tectone even knows how to use editing software. Anyway, Dicktone posted it, who hinted at this. See first image, and it blew up and reposted by Right Angle News Network. Since then, Grums, Dan Saltman, Tectone, and the Quartering, Drew Pavlo, and other right-wingers have been spamming it. Some even saying that Hasan said these things after Charlie died. Elon Musk has replied several times. The compilation is a joke. The first one is him 3 years ago talking about Democrats needing to be better at debate rhetoric. He's being hyperbolic and is not meant to be taken literally. I know, but they clipped it in a way where it seems like I'm saying like the Democrats need to start people or something. The second is him reciting what some angry conservatives said in a voicemail to a Republican politician that made him resign. Hasan was highlighting the anger people feel with their representatives. There's also a clip of Hasan talking about the ACP and Fuentes, calling again, not for a call for violence, but they're banking on people not knowing what the ACP is and doing what they always do, taking his jokes sincerely. Regardless, this tricked most of the right-wing Twitter, who are all calling for him to either be banned, arrested, deported, or killed. These right-winger influencers either don't understand or do that when Twitch doesn't ban Hasan for these out-of-context clips, it might convince very angry people that violence is the only solution. They're putting a massive target on Hasan's back. There's one tweet, the very last one from Tectone, where he completely fabricates quotes from Hasan. He's as good as putting a hit on him with the one about Kirk. Yeah, so as you can tell, it's like me with long hair talking about the Democrats and their inability to address Herschel Walker with like aggressive tone. Yeah, there's a longer clip, obviously, that Elon Musk replied to. And Elon Musk has been highlighting these like nonstop for the record. Twitch is complicit in the murder of Charlie Kirk. Here's their CEO's favorite content creator. He admits he uses coded language for assassinations, all this stuff. Hasan's compilation of call to violence is damning and horrific. He definitely created an atmosphere where political violence was lauded and Twitch encouraged it. Slice him up. You need to gut him. New Jersey-based Muslim American Hasan Piker told his 9+ million followers to murder conservatives everywhere. It's just like, it's just insane. But the last version of this was also Elon Musk basically adding Jeff Bezos and demanding that Jeff Bezos ban me from the platform or some shit. But hold on, where is it? Breaking. Numerous clips of Hasan Piker calling on his viewers to kill right-wingers are going viral. None of this is true. Okay? Incitement to murder, he says. And also, if that was true, I would go to jail, which is, of course, who knows? I mean, maybe the Trump administration will get their hands on this and go, well, this clip out of context is enough for us to take action. Who knows? But yeah, he's got to be banned at Twitch. Come on. Elon Musk says yes. And the Hasan Piker calls for violence on Nick Fuentes. And that was me literally saying Nick Fuentes should debate the ACP guys. Like, that's it. That's all I said in that clip that they're talking about. I was like, I don't want to deal with Nick Fuentes. Let the ACP guys deal with them. Let them fight it out, like in terms of debating, which is really funny because these guys are also simultaneously saying that, Charlie Kirk was a beacon of free speech. Well, guess what? I was supposed to debate Charlie Kirk. So clearly that's, not something that I'm against at all. Hasan Piker called for Jackson Hinkle's group, American Communist Party, to go out and kill one day before Charlie Kirk was killed. Again, Drew Pavlov. Interesting. I thought that guy was a liberal. Hasan, we need to kill landlords of the roads soaking their capital's blood. If you want to fix America, you should kill Rick Scott. Charlie Kirk, guys, someone's got to do it. Charlie Kirk gets assassinated. Hasan, wow, this is horrible. And can't believe this happened, guys. I don't condone this. Pretends to cry to seem human. Go f yourself, you terrorist-loving piece. He says none of this is real. He's a desperate charlatan. It is what it is. These things. No matter what happens, all I can do in this situation is like show you what the actual clips are, what the actual context is. And if you see it in the wild, you can like correct people if you want. Could you sue for slander? No, dude, it doesn't work that way. Please stop. Yeah. Elon Musk has now on 4 different occasions demanded or reposted like Dan Stalkman, and is now is adding Jeff Bezos to try to get me banned. Not good. What that chatter was referring to earlier, I think it's purely sociopathic personally. I think it demonstrates almost no empathy except just like immediate shock. To me, this speaks volumes to how many people worship this guy and he can't really like react properly to someone dying. Wait, what? What is this? It's 100% false to say the left wanted him dead. However, there's an enormous faction for whom the distinction is meaningless who is celebrating this openly. Wait, what? People pointed out correctly Hasan had a sociopathic reaction. And then he posts this. And this was a sociopathic reaction. That's what this guy thinks is a sociopathic reaction. I think this is purely sociopathic personally. I think it demonstrates almost no empathy except just immediate shock. To me, this speaks volumes to how people worship this guy. Are you kidding me? He reacts with shock and horror and is very clearly upset by it. I had the exact same reaction when I saw the video. I hated Charlie Kirk and it crushed me. This guy looked at this video of me losing my mind and was like, what a sociopath this guy is. That guy is a nobody. I mean, he's an example of like the way people have like lost their minds on this issue. But in any case, I do find the strange irony here because like that dude, this is not like some low motion shit. Like Elon Musk highlighting this. This has got 91,000 likes, bro. It's got millions, 6.2 million views. But yeah, it's the classic. It's the classic, my ideological enemies are incapable of engaging in metaphor. That's just never the case. They are unable to engage in metaphor. They will never be able to engage in metaphor. He must mean everything literally, right? That's what they do all the time. And that's precisely what's going on here as well. Like I'm very clearly talking about in most of those clips that they clipped that are like, 10 seconds long usually, I'm either talking about a metaphor in which like what Democrats need to get more aggressive in debates, or talking about how Nick Fuentes, I'm not going to debate him, but let ACP deal with him, like let ACP, the American Communist Party, debate him, or talking about how like there is so much discontent that people are unafraid to say their government name when they're like directly issuing a death threat to sitting congresspersons, right? They just turn around and say, this is, this is very obviously like a direct call to violence. And it's funny because it's like from half of the clips are from like 4 years ago, 5 years ago. One of them is like from 7 years ago. The richest man in the world, the owner of one of the most influential social media platforms on earth, the possessor of all sorts of U.S. NASDAQ clearances, just sits on here tweeting incendiary nonsense and amplifying far-right conspiracy accounts. Yeah. Like, that's crazy. Multiple trans people in the area posted on September 9th that something big will be happening to Charlie Kirk tomorrow. Terrorist cell. Like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Talk about the Scott stuff. I have a video on my YouTube page if you want to go find it. That was yet another instance where like Republicans were manufacturing outrage and misconstruing my words. I mean, like I said, all of those things I've addressed a million times over. You should make a YouTube video of you just addressing and shattering all this fabricated nonsense. Should I? What do you say when I tell you that those videos exist already? I have an entire channel dedicated to where they get those clips from. Do you think it matters to these people? Do you think they care about the truth? No, of course not. Yeah, because no one would go back and find all those individual videos. I mean, it doesn't matter. The debunking doesn't matter. I have done the debunking a million times over. It just, people don't care. They're not, you can only convince someone who is actually invested in the truth. If they're not invested in the truth, and this is not something that they're interested in at all, they're just like angry and they're looking for a target that they find to be appropriate, you're never going to be able to, like, you might be able to convince your parents who are just like, oh, I heard this guy that you're watching has said a bunch of violent stuff. You can have a conversation with them and be like, that's not the case. Here's why it's out of context. He's speaking metaphorically, blah, blah, blah. But like to the average onlooker online who has already established their worldview, who are just literally not reasoning, who are not listening to reason whatsoever, they're angry. They're looking for a valid target. I happen to be the most visible target that they can launch their endless anger towards. Like the dude that Elon Musk retweeted, Dan Stalkman, has openly admitted that the truth doesn't matter as long as people are shitting on me. Like, he has said it before.
He has no issues clip chipping me. Okay? He's fine doing it. Why the would I not do it in return? Okay? He wants to like do out of context clips at me. You know what? That's
What's really funny about this statement is it's also a lie, because in order for me to find out of context clips of him, I would have to know anything about him. Okay? I would have to like know what the context is and then be able to cleverly clip it out of context. I don't know anything about this man. I just know he's a 60-year-old pervert who's lost his goddamn mind and like has made it his life's mission to actively stalk me. He does not care. He thinks it's totally appropriate because I'm the singular most evil figure in American politics. The Rick Scott video was clear and concise format that lends well to debunking, though. Yeah. They have a pretty sophisticated network of harassment that even journalists have written about at this point. Like Bloomberg wrote an article about it. The difference is, of course, like there's only one country's troll operations and troll farms that will take it to that level, and that country is Israel. And I think we all know, I am an op to the state of Israel. So they will use their sophisticated influence peddling operation to elevate Gamergate style harassment campaigns and like try to legitimize them, because there's a network of newspapers that will always cover that too. New York Post, Jewish Insider, sometimes Fox News will do it as well. But yeah, if you're coming in here to be like, oh, well, you should do a debunking, it's like we've had these issues many, many times over, It's not new. You can be so obnoxiously hypocritical. You say people don't care about the truth, so they won't listen. But then say you stream on here to change those people's minds just so you don't want to make those videos anymore. No, dumbass. I already have made those videos. My point is there are always going to be some who just don't want to see it or don't want to hear it. What's wrong with you? How is that obnoxiously hypocritical? I just said I already have done those videos and it doesn't work, as evidenced by the Rick Scott thing, right? That video has 1 million+ views, chatter. The f are you talking about? Everybody's seen it, but that hasn't stopped Republicans from continuing to do that, right? We've been banned. Got 1.2 million views. Did that stop Republicans from bringing that up to say he's fomenting hatred and he wants to kill Rick Scott? It was very clearly that was not the case. It's it's incredibly annoying to constantly battle with bad faith actors. Yeah, I know. I would never be able to do news coverage if I constantly was at the mercy of like the most cynical framing on every single issue. I have a lot. Look, I am perhaps the most visible leftist online. Okay. And with that comes a of political enemies, ideological enemies. So because of that reason, if I were to take it on every single time where someone was like deliberately misconstruing what I was saying, or just adding on to that pile and like making up new shit, for example, I wouldn't be able to do any coverage whatsoever. As a matter of fact, I want to go back to the timeline of how the Charlie Kirk shooting unfolded. And here I am trying to explain to people this other thing now. Hasan, I've never seen you correct or take accountability for what you say. It's always out of context or misconstrued. I understand that does happen, but it's not always the case. Okay, here. The Rick Scott situation is a perfect example. This is why I don't deal with bad faith actors, by the way. Okay, I said if Republicans, in a conversation that was taking place where Republicans were slated to cut $800 billion from Medicaid, which they are, by the way, they successfully pushed that legislation. The Speaker of the House said, Republicans care about Medicaid fraud. Republicans care about Medicare fraud. We want to tackle Medicare fraud. I responded to that by saying, if the Speaker of the House and the Republican Party broadly cared about Medicaid fraud, they would do the penalty to Rick Scott, okay? But instead of saying they would offer capital punishment to Rick Scott, I said they would Rick Scott. Republicans took that and went with Hasan wants Rick Scott to be assassinated. He's calling for the assassination of Rick Scott. They didn't even actually change the context whatsoever. They just straight up showed the actual thing that I was saying. But because of the language that I used in that instance, they were able to get a 1-day suspension off of it. I explained my position. I apologize for the words that I used in that moment, okay? Taking the accountability that you are saying I do not take. And also went beyond and talked about why I was saying this about Rick Scott, making it a story about Rick Scott's historic Medicare fraud. Because the reason why I brought up Rick Scott and not any other congressperson, was because Rick Scott, when he was working for a private healthcare provider in the state of Florida, actually did Olympic levels of Medicare fraud. Okay? Not only did I take accountability for the language I used in that moment, but I also described it. And yet you're still on this issue claiming I don't take accountability whatsoever and it's always out of context. What am I supposed to do? Fair enough, I didn't see that. No, dumbass, that's the problem, because you don't see anything, you don't care about anything, you just operate off of the whims of what other people are saying. The very same people that elevate something that is not actually a significant piece of discourse to make it a sincerely, a sincere moment of accountability. Dumbasses like you get duped by that. You go, oh, he doesn't take accountability for anything, because you don't know. You never chose to seek out the context. You never chose to actually find out what I was saying. You don't know anything at all. You just, in the background, in the periphery, heard some and you're just repeating it in here. And even after I describe it, you go, well, I just didn't know about that. So what am I supposed to do? Isn't that a big one, though, especially given the emotions on the Republican side, even if it's for the sake of the optics and convincing a fraction of people who actually search for information, even to marginally reduce safety concerns? Maybe, potentially. Yeah, the gut them thing is exactly the same. You're using scary words, but it's being metaphorical about winning a debate. Yeah, 100%. Like, if you look at the context of it, it's very clear what I'm saying. I'm talking about the Herschel Walker debate, the Georgia debate from many, many years ago. I don't even look the same. My background is different. My hair is different. I'll give you a political example of this with Donald Trump. There have been two instances where liberals took what Donald Trump was saying and made it seem as though he was actually, he was not speaking figuratively, but literally. Okay. One was with the Liz Cheney thing, right? And even my audience yelled at me for it because I defended Donald Trump's usage of the terminology, where I said he is saying that Liz Cheney is a chicken hawk, that she would not actually go out and fight these wars, but instead would send others to fight these wars at her behest. Okay, remember when Donald Trump said, Liz Cheney, if she really wanted to go fight, she would go, let's see how she would talk if she was in front of a firing squad or something, right? And everyone was like, Donald Trump wants to send Liz Cheney to the firing squad. And I said, at the time, no, Donald Trump is actually talking about Liz Cheney being a war hawk, a chicken hawk, a classic concept, a politician that doesn't actually put their lives on the line, but can so easily discard others to go and die for her imperial ambition. That's what I said, okay? I defended Donald Trump in that regard because it wasn't even defending Donald Trump, it was defending the truth. It was defending the usage of a metaphor. Another instance where this happened was when Donald Trump said it's going to be a bloodbath or whatever, and everybody jumped on that, right? It's ironic that I have also personally done this when someone who I am ideologically opposed to has engaged in spicy language or the utilization of a metaphor. But of course, Republicans love doing the exact same thing that they yell when the liberals do it. Everybody does this, okay? Everybody does this. Everybody claims they hate cancel culture, but they love utilizing cancel culture when it suits their purposes. Everybody loves talking about how they love free speech, but they always love to stop free speech from happening. And of course, there is, once again, a step beyond that as well, a step beyond metaphor as well. How do you feel about Elon's remarks against you? I don't like them. I don't appreciate it at all. But unfortunately, the owner of this website that I'm on, Twitter, has deep resentment for myself. So I don't know what to do. There's nothing I can do really other than just continue existing in this world. The more resentful he becomes, the more insane he becomes. The more insane he becomes, the more he tries to agitate. You all realize how big of a deal this is, right? Elon Musk is directly calling out Amazon, Twitch, and Hasan. Something is probably going to happen finally. Just wondering if Amazon thinks it's okay to pay and promote someone he's paid by Twitch and Amazon who makes repeated calls for murder. It wouldn't be okay, which is why I haven't done that. You can start a new employee-owned streaming platform. Yeah, totally, dude. That's what I can do. Let me go do that. He's trying to boost the algo to farm engagements with one-word sentences, FYI. No, I know. Yeah. Meanwhile, he's fomenting race riots in the UK. Anyway, it is odd. This is from 13 minutes ago. I mean, he's still doing it, but he's so made. Like, dude, talk to me directly if you want to have a issue. Why did you block him? Because it's unbearable when he's unblocked. His posts show so much. His posts still show up even when he's blocked, but at least they show up with less frequency. I've already addressed this when he tried to say I was a coward for blocking him. Last time he tried to call me a and got owned on his own goddamn website, as a matter of fact. The last 30 minutes of this broadcast are a perfect example of why you can't respond to these insane attacks all the time, because you wanted to talk about the news and now we have to use this time to relitigate all this nonsense against you again. I know. Do you find yourself as divisive? Yes, of course I find myself as divisive. Are you kidding me? Dude, there are people in this country, there are a decent number of people in this country who believe the most demented. Obviously, I'm going to say certain things that they find to be ridiculous. The problem is larger and larger numbers of the population, due to like spending too much time online and breaking their brains through the algorithm, are becoming increasingly more insane. And it is no measure of mental sanity to be well adjusted to a mentally insane society, right? So yes, I am a divisive figure. I'll give you an example, okay? Someone who was an anti-fascist would be considered a divisive figure in 1930s Nazi Germany. And they were both politically prosecuted and also literally shot and killed or sent to concentration camps, okay? That doesn't mean that they were wrong. I think we can understand that in 2025, all right? But they were considered divisive for the time that they existed and the things that they did. You mean that people take things literally, but you always do day in, day out to argue your points? Do you acknowledge this? It's ironic because I just gave you a clear-cut example of me not doing that and actually criticizing liberals who were doing that to Donald Trump. So I don't know what the you're talking about. Am I capable of misunderstanding someone's intentions? Absolutely. I probably have done that in the past, but I try to do my very best to at least be as clear as I can. Okay? I try to do my very best to be as truthful in my coverage, in my analysis. That is the number one thing that I care about, which is precisely the reason why I didn't instantly lean on Tyler Robinson being a groyper, for example. If that was my goal, I could have done that. I could have just been like, yeah, he's a groyper. He's a Nick Fuentes fan. He's a Nick Fuentes fan. I didn't do that. I said some of the meme profile of this person does not immediately strike me as a far-right figure. Are there far-right figures who would also take a shot at Charlie Kirk? Absolutely. Okay? But it's still too soon to tell.